This is the Finding Purpose LiveCast with Davin Salvagno. Today, during episode 1, Davin will be interviewing Charlie Malouf, President and CEO of Broad River Retail, doing business as Ashley HomeStore. Charlie will be sharing some incredible insights on his journey and leading an organization focused on furnishing life's best memories.
Good morning, Charlie. How are you?
Good morning, Davin. I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome. Fantastic. I am so excited to have you as our first guest of the Finding Purpose LiveCast. I couldn't think of a better way to kick this off. So thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here today.
Man, it's my pleasure. I'm super excited. I'm nervous since you're going live, but Finding Purpose LiveCast. I am a novice at these. This is my 5th podcast interview, but I'm super honored that you selected me to have a conversation with, and so it's been a pleasure to get to know you, and I'm such a fan of what you were doing, and through Purpose Point, through this Finding Purpose LiveCast, and so hopefully we can have a great conversation here.
Well, I know that we will, and I know that people are going to get a ton of wisdom and insight from you and your story. And so for those who are tuning in and watching this, I'm here with Charlie Malouf, who is the president and CEO of Broad River Retail, doing business as Ashley HomeStore. And he is a fantastic person who has done a tremendous job of exemplifying what it means to lead with purpose and lead an organization through purpose. I'm just such a big fan of yours, Charlie, and all that you're doing and all that your team is doing. Every time I see an update from one of your team members on LinkedIn, it just brings a big smile to my face. So thank you again so much for all that you're doing. And I'm ready to share anything that you have with the world. But first, I want people to get to know who Charlie is. I want you to tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to where you're at in your role with Broad River Retail today.
Yeah, so for your audience, I'll just keep it to the elevator version. I'm in retail, Davin, and I got into retail, the very direct path that most people do through software development and e-business, and that's just a joke. I was an entrepreneur in Jackson, Mississippi, where all great technology companies are born. That's another attempted joke. But I had a company in Mississippi and started it up, had done it for 5 years. And around that time, a friend of mine who was in Charlotte said, hey, I got this thing going and business, and I'd love for you to get involved. And I said, what is it? I said, it sounds great, but and I like you as a friend, but I don't know anything about retail or furniture. I didn't even like shopping growing up as a kid. So I love what I'm doing. I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And honestly, it was just kind of a spiritual nudge and there was a good offer. And so I sold my business, moved from everything I knew and sold everything I had and restarted in May 2005, so about 15 years ago, and moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and when we opened store number 3, and then began my journey in retail. And in the industry, we say furniture gets in your blood, but it's just the people, and it's really it's the people. And so I was the managing partner and chief operating officer for 10 years or so, and then I've been the president and CEO for about 5 years for this company, and it's been a blast. And have really found my purpose, if you would say that, or really I would say God's calling for my life. I've really found it in what I'm doing today, and being able to use the gifts that I think I've received in a way that kind of serves Him.
That's awesome. So when you mentioned that, your purpose and God's purpose in your life and using the gifts that He's given you at work, when was the first time that you recognized this concept of purpose at work in your life? When was the first time that you realized that what you did every day in your profession, in your role, actually had purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question, and to pin it down to just one moment is probably pretty tough. But I can tell you maybe when it was really vivid for me, and sometimes, and look, I hope I'm not offending anyone if I talk a little bit about what God's calling on my life has meant to me, and it's just been important to me. And I don't mean that to offend anyone or to impress my beliefs on anyone. I'm just trying to share who I am and what it's meant to me. So what I would say is, in 2015, we were going through a crucible moment as a company. We had had about we've been a really proud company for many, many years, and had been a successful company. And we were going through an ERP conversion, and we really stumbled through it. We were also we had also outgrown our distribution center, and we're breaking ground on a new facility where I am today. And we just had a lot of things going on, and we basically almost lost the business through this experience. And it was a very traumatic experience. And we had a decision point. We could go one way or the other. And I just vividly remember the voice of God coming down saying, "Be bold, be bold." You read so many times in the Bible, do not be afraid, right? And I just heard, be bold, be bold. And I didn't understand what that meant, but honestly, it would move me to tears. It was so emotional. And we were trying to just dig out of this hole that we were in and really fight and get gritty. And then this verse, Jeremiah 29:11, just kept coming to me, appearing to me, literally everywhere I would seemingly go, whether it was in a church sermon or a coffee shop, on the walls of a bathroom stall. I mean, and everything in between. I was just coming across Jeremiah 29:11. Do not be afraid, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. And so this verse just really resonated with me. And so around that time, my business partner, who was our president and CEO, said, "Hey, I think it's time to hand over the keys to you and for you to be the CEO of the company." I said, "Okay, well, when?" In 6 months? I was thinking in about a week, next month. I remember it as a week. It was probably about 30 days or so. And so we had a lot of things to get ready. And I'd shared with another guy who just joined our company, my current business partner, Manny Rodriguez, and who's now our chief operating officer, a lot of kind of what I was sensing and seeing and hearing. And so we were trying to come up with this 100-day challenge, to kind of have our management team reset the business. And we were kind of brainstorming a bunch of names, and I think we came up with a dozen names, and just playing off each other in a small group, a committee, and he came up with this phrase, bold reset. So we did our 100-day challenge, which was our Broad River Bold Reset. And that was in the end of June, beginning of July 2015. And also around that time, I just really had the sense that my two current business partners would eventually be my new business partners. And they were not owners in the company at that time. I was a minority owner in the business at that time. And I just had this vision about it, and I shared that with them. And that was with Charlie Workman and Manny Rodriguez, who I mentioned earlier. And lo and behold, about 3 years later, that vision became reality. And we're the three owners of the company today. And brothers in Christ, and we love each other. And like any brother, we fight with each other, but we love each other. We give each other grace. And so we're running the business together, and it's been a true joy. But really coming through that experience and looking at who we could lean on, and there were some dark hours. And it was literally where and I don't want to get too much into the gory details of it, but there were literally times when the business could go away. And so we really had to learn how to walk through faith, because it was like waking up every day. And I just say this to provide the metaphor. For about 11 months, it was waking up every day with a gun to your head, and the bank could pull the trigger and shut us down. And we knew that we were at the base of the mountain, and we had a lot of digging to get out of it. And our entire team just really fought and banded together, and then more folks assimilated and joined our team. And so I was just grateful for just really seeing that's what saved the business, and just feeling that we had something to fight for together, like it was worth something, like it mattered to these people. It mattered, their jobs mattered, our company mattered, and not going down in flames mattered. And and digging in and fighting through, and just that story and that whole experience. And it had to happen that way. It happened. We had to realize how much we really loved it and loved each other and cared for each other to understand what it meant to us and what it could mean for, like, there was a reason for us to survive. There was a reason for us to thrive. And so we're eternally grateful for that. But now we like take it very seriously. We want to protect what we have. And we are very cognizant of the example that we can live and walk through and what we represent. And so it's just, it just puts so much meaning into what we get to do in the marketplace through this organization. And we always say it's not just about our four walls, but it's like who all is watching us and watching the example and the role, the way that we model how we live and work and treat each other. And could that have a positive ripple effect throughout the marketplace, throughout our industry, throughout other companies? And that's been like, so it all really, that's the most vivid experience. I'm sorry to be a little bit long-winded, but I'm so passionate about it. That's really kind of when it really began was, I would say, that summer of 2015, or it was really starting about April, May of 2015, and then just that whole next 12 months of surviving through that. And then really when our backs were against the wall and seeing that through, it's just the power of faith. You know, they say hope is not a strategy, but faith is. And or at least I like to hold on to that. And it's just the power of faith, the power of grit, sticking together and believe in something bigger than yourself and a contribution beyond yourself. And so walking through that purpose path.
That's such a powerful testimony. You know, we recently had a furniture outfit here in Michigan that's been around for a very, very long time. They have tons of locations, thousands of employees, and they suddenly went under. And I think the reason why is because they lacked that faith, that grit, that tenacity, that common call to a greater purpose, as you just talked about. And I believe that the reason that you guys are where you're at today is because you walked through that experience together. I mean, there is something so tangible when I see people of Broad River Retail and Ashley HomeStore on LinkedIn talking, communicating with each other. You guys just walked out of your year of purpose, which I want you to talk about in a second. But you could feel that, right? You can feel the sense of unity, the sense of camaraderie, the sense of moving towards something greater together, this need to survive as an entity, and now this need to thrive as an entity because of the lives that you touch through what you do. Talk to us a little bit about kind of Broad River Retail's purpose, the purpose statement, kind of unpack that for us. How did you what was the genesis of how all of that came to be and how you unveiled it?
Yeah, that's another cool story. And you're going to ask me all the topics that I love to talk about. And you know, I'm really encouraged that you wanted to have this conversation today. And we talked a little bit, Davin, about the conversation in light of what's going on, where the world is, and you know, we've all been in this pandemic, and I want to acknowledge that, and our hearts are with everyone who's suffering in some way through this novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, and so I don't want to gloss over that, but it is such a respite to be able to talk about purpose. And you really encouraged me. You said, Charlie, we're going to get back to like let's take a break from that and focus on this topic. And so anyways, furnishing life's best memories. It's 4 simple words. And we had a desire. So fast forward from where 2016 into we had always had like a mission and core values, right? And so a mission statement and core values as a company. And we really just had this heart to come up with a purpose statement. We didn't really even really know why, but the ownership team and leadership team, like, we wanted a purpose statement without really understanding why. And this goes back to 2016, 2017. It was just on our hearts, right? And so as a leadership team, we started to do a study and tried to like come up with something. And we beat it up for like several months, and we got really close. But what we came up with was something we couldn't get 100% consensus. And I'm glad that we couldn't, because it was pretty sterile and kind of, it wasn't as maybe impactful as it could have been. And instead we came up with a vision statement. So we ended up launching our vision statement in the summer of 2017. Well, around that same time, through going through the synthesis of just this process of beating up the exercise, I asked a colleague of mine. I said, "Hey, I like I studied some other companies in our industry and colleagues and friends of mine, and some had mission statements and some had vision statements, and a couple had purpose statements. And so I went to a friend of mine and said, "Hey, you got a purpose statement. Well, how do you come up with that? Where'd you come up with that?" And he said, "Well, I read a book." And so I have a lot of books, Davin, I'm gonna maybe use as props. So he said, "I read this book by Joey Ryman called The Story of Purpose." I'd never heard of Joey Ryman or The Story of Purpose. And so I said, "That's interesting." So I started listening to some of, going through the book, the audio book and physical book by Joey, and listening to some of his YouTube clips. And I was going on a family vacation, and I was watching NFL Hall of Fame speeches by Kurt Warner this August Saturday, and this phrase just kind of appeared, came to me, but we had just kind of beat it up as a leadership team and came really close and had just launched a vision statement, and so I didn't feel confident enough to share it with anybody, and then I shared it with my wife. And she loved it. And so my wife's a good supporter of everything that we do in the company. And so, anyways, also we didn't know where the company was still going to go long term at this time. I was still a minority owner in the company, and my two current partners, I don't think were even owners at this time. And we wanted to try to understand where the business was going to go long term, and to secure a long-term future for the business, I guess you could say. And because I knew that my other business partner, who was an awesome business partner and a great friend, I knew that he was ready to kind of move on to another chapter in his life, and that created a little bit of tension and conflict that we had to work out or figure out how to work it out. And so I just put this phrase on the shelf and went away for it, because I also said, listen, let's figure out where the company's going to go, and let's make sure that this thing can stand the test of time. Fast forward about a year later, 11 months later, my two business partners today and me, we acquired 100% control of the company. We had a transaction, and we bought the company so that we could, because not to flip it, we always say not to day trade on it, because we wanted to have a company not for the next quarter, but for the next quarter century. We just wanted to do life and to do business together. That was what's on our heart. This is what we're supposed to do, and let's just do it. And let's be willing to be amazed and surprised by what God reveals through this journey together of doing life together. When you strike lightning and you find people who are hard workers, who are believers, who are wired the same way you are, you hold on to that, and you protect it. So that's what we did. So around that time, these guys were kind of chipping at me saying, "Hey, come on, when are you going to tell us what you wrote down there?" And I said, I don't know. So finally, once we did the transaction, I said, "Hey, come here. I want to share something with you guys, and I think it's time." And I shared it with Manny and Workman, and they loved it. They said, "That's it. That's it." I said, "Are you guys sure?" They said, "Yep." I said, "Well, okay. Let's go through the process with our leadership team. Let's open this process up again." And so really it was an exercise of unpacking each of the four words. Furnishing, we're in the furnishing business. It's a good anchor word for us. It's about providing, nourishing, empowering, and it's what we get to do. And it can mean so much more. Life, we had a near-death experience. And when you have a near-death experience, what do you appreciate more than anything? Life, breath in your body, so just what is life about? It's about family. It's about home. Best, we believe that we're partnered with the best furniture company, Ashley Furniture Industries, and they want to be their vision is to be the best furniture company. And then just, I believe that God wants his best for his people. And then I also believe that we should give our best. We should optimize our God-given talents and abilities. So furnishing life's best, and then this word memories. And so to me, the word memories is this perfect union of the past and the future and present day today. And the reason for that is when we have our memories they anchor us. They provide a foundation. We can look back and we don't fall off the bike because we remember how to ride the bike. When we go through trials and tribulations, which we are promised to have, we understand that we can get through it because we've gotten through it in the past. We understand that he won't forsake us because he didn't forsake us. And so these memories ground us and they encourage us. I can get through this because of what I've been through. But then also I believe we've got visions and dreams implanted in our brains, maybe when we're children. And what are those? Those are future memories that we want to have. That's what we look forward to. And so furnishing life's best memories is like today. I want to, it's the union of the past and the future and today. And so we always say we're a retail company. We're not like Netflix or Verizon or the cable company. We don't have subscribers. We have to go win the day every single day. But there's a beautiful element of that. That's not for everyone. There's a competition element of that, but there's a renewal. There's a daily renewal to that. Every single day, whether we won or lost, it's 0-0. We're starting over again. And so we don't have to carry the baggage from the previous day. And also we shouldn't carry like the wins that like they can support us, but like it's a new day. And so there's a spiritual renewing in that as well. So furnishing life's best memories, it's what we get to do. And it's become our why. It's why we get to do. And then we went and interviewed all of our people and asked them about what that means, without revealing the purpose statement, because once we locked it in as a leadership team, we said, well, how are we going to reveal it? How do we and we said, do we do it next week? Like when we have this event and everyone on campus, they said, no. Let's make it a big splash. Let's do it in like 8 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it was, in late August at a leadership event. And let's bring all of our folks back, and that'll give us time to really prepare for it. So we actually brought in Joey Ryman to speak, and we brought in because if when you want to launch your purpose statement, you bring in the guy who wrote the book on purpose. And we brought in some other speakers. We brought in Inky Johnson, who's been a powerful motivational speaker to speak, and so we also took videos and interviews of our people, and we kind of asked them about their experiences and what they get to do. And a lot of them talked about creating memories for their guests. And so we got to connect what they get to do with their guests or what we get to do through giving back in the community to our purpose statement. So we created an essence video to launch the purpose statement. So furnishing life's best memories, 4 simple words. There's a lot of meat that I could unpack on all of those words. And so we launched it in August of 2018 through a big company-wide summit, brought in some speakers. And so that's how we launched our company's purpose statement. And we said, we're gonna differentiate between, purpose, vision, mission, values, and this is really gonna be what we're going to be about. And our organizational why, furnishing life's best memories. That's why we do. And really, the last thing I would say on it is, yeah, there's a period after the word memories, but what's implied is in parentheses, maybe before the period, it's for others or for other people. So what we want to do is furnish life's best memories for our employees, who we call memory makers, for our people, for our guests, or our customers who we get the pleasure and privilege to serve, and for our neighbors in our communities who we get through our doing good business, we get to give back and support. And so that's a little bit about how the purpose statement and what it means to us.
That's awesome. And it's almost like furnishing life's best memories, ... right? Because you can for this person, this person, this person, this person. So it's almost a couple periods, right? I love how it's not just a cheap marketing slogan. There's so many organizations that they hire a company to create something that's, a 1 sentence wow factor marketing slogan, but yours is so intentional, furnishing life's best memories, that you've unpacked those 4 simple words have so much depth and meaning, that you were so intentional about choosing each and every one of those words, and that they stand for something, and then collaboratively make this statement. That is so powerful, Charlie. And then that last piece, the memories of bringing the past and the future together, and then what that means for your team and how they do that and what their impact is, what their piece of that purpose is every single day. That statement does such a great job of grounding them in that. How are you with that statement? How are you connecting? You kind of alluded to a little bit, but this sense of individual purpose with organizational purpose. We clearly understand what the organizational purpose of Broad River Retail is now. How does that translate down to me in whatever role that I'm in within your organization and fulfilling my sense of individual purpose in my work every single day so that I wake up and say, man, I get to make a difference today?
Okay, so that's a big question, right? That's a loaded question right there, and there's a lot to it. And so, first of all, language matters. And so we try to be very intentional with the language that we say. I'll give you an example. In our industry, a lot of people say, "Hey, how many ups did you have?" You know what an up is, Davin?
An up as in like high moments in your day?
Yeah. No, that's not it. It's a person.
Okay.
It's a person.
Okay.
It's traffic coming into the stores.
Okay.
How many ups do you have? And I'm like walking past, I'm like, an up? What? That's a guest. That's a person. That so we don't say sales per up, or we don't say, hey, that's my up. Because someone said, hey, that's my up. No, we don't say that's my up. I'm working with that guest, or sales per guest. And so language matters. And so, we just try to be intentional around everything that we do. So, employees, some people say employees, we used to say team members, teammates, and those are great, or associates, those are great. And we said, well, what could be specific to us? And, Disney is pretty good about branding and intentionality, and they call their associates cast members. And so to connect, what our word is we call our people memory makers. And just reinforces, like you get to create memories for your family at home through the job that you do every day, or what that provides for you, for your guests in your store, or if you go on a service project with us and serve in the community, you're a memory maker. And so that's how we really connect it. And it's really, words can kind of root back to identity. And we like to say purpose begins with identity, or they're certainly very much connected. And when you understand your identity and not who you are, but whose you are is what I like to say. But when you really can connect your identity, and so you can do that with words and with language. And so you asked me about personal purpose and organizational purpose, and I was scared of this topic. When we first launched our purpose statement, I shared that with you a little bit. And so I didn't know what to expect. And, I started off saying to our people, because one of the ways when we launched, just to continue the story, when we launched our purpose statement, one of the processes that actually Joey talks about in his book is step 4, activation. You have to be it, do it, say it. And so we wanted to be willing to hold ourselves accountable to not letting a purpose statement just be an event. Hey, we launched it, now we're moving on to the next event. We really wanted to hold ourselves accountable to living this, being it, doing it, saying it every single day. And so we formed a cross-departmental purpose activation committee. And so that committee was, on a volunteer basis, was committed to the study of the topic of purpose, the science of purpose. And I started off by saying, hey, I really want to get into what it means for our organizational purpose. And then I made this comment like, hey, I'm not really looking for people to go to the mountaintop and find their personal purpose. And I was just wrong with that mindset. What I really came to find out through this study of purpose is you certainly can and should connect your individual purpose to the organizational purpose. And there's no reason not to, because, and we shouldn't shy away from it. So first of all, I really like what Aaron Hurst talks about through the purpose economy. And he wrote this book and really thinks about it at a macro level. And he calls it like the big moonshot of our generation. Like so he goes from the agrarian economy, the industrial economy, the knowledge economy, and it says the fourth big economy is the purpose economy, meaning and contribution. And, wow, that's pretty powerful. I really like what Nicholas Pierce talks about with his book, The Purpose Path. And we actually had Nicholas come speak to us as well last year, and so this really gets into who you are, what you were created to do, and what that means. And so we really like, hey, if you're not feeling purposeful right now, and you want to go pursue something else, we're grateful for your time here. We're grateful that we were part of your journey, and we want to go do something else. Like, we'll encourage you through that. But really, we've been super motivated by our mutual friend, Zach Mercurio, who wrote The Invisible Leader. And
Love that.
the subtitle here is Transform Your Life, Work, and Organization with the Power of Authentic Purpose. And he really says that the invisible leader is authentic purpose. And he does such a good job. And if you go through my book here, it's completely marked up. And so what we would do as a purpose activation committee is go through these studies and read a chapter, multiple chapters, and then talk about them every week, in addition to trying to activate purpose throughout the organization through different events and things of that nature. And so really to listen to each other and talk about what was your crucible moment, what's important to you, and why do you do what you do, and in a way that's empowering. And so you and I kind of had this dialogue before, and whether you think of it as, well, first of all, you and I we both believe that every single person and individual was gifted with amazing God-given talents and abilities. And I talk about that all the time. Like, people have amazing gifts, and it's important to understand how you're gifted and how you can deploy those gifts into whatever you do. You like you should deploy those gifts. You should, and what Zach really talks about is, but when you can connect that contribution of how you use your gift and how it impacts another human being, that's really powerful. And
Yes.
so, like, when you connect your what you do, it could just be how you impact a coworker, or if you're a leader, how you coach someone to perform better than they ever thought they could. If you're on the front lines, how you, through the way you walk, how you inspire others who are having a bad day to get uplifted, or that, oh, I can really do this. Or how you empower a guest who never thought that they could afford beautiful home furnishings, or who are struggling with back issues, and how we can give them a great night's sleep through the power of transformative sleep, right? And the health and wellness connected to that. Or how you go provide for your family through the gifts that you have and what you do at work, and and the meaning behind that, or how you're able to give back. My brother, who's on this webcast right now, and I got to shout out to some of my family. If I don't, I'll hear about it later. But he's got some financial goals, some giving goals, and so through what he does through his work, he's able to then go be a steward of those funds. And so, and that's all that's connecting is to a human being at the other end of the value equation. And there's power behind that. We like to say we're in the people business. I talked about words and the power of words earlier. We looked at like this whole concept of human resources, HR, and we did this. One of the first things we did during our bold reset, which I spoke about earlier, my former business partner had a career in human capital. And I asked him about that when he joined the company, and kind of pocketed that away. And then when that came back, my first decision was to make him our vice president, promote him to be our vice president of human capital, and to create a human capital department at that time. This goes back to 2015. And the reason for that is just the dichotomy of people as resources. People as resources. What's a resource on is a liability. It's something you want to minimize. You want to use. You don't want to invest in. Versus what's capital? It's an asset you want to grow. And so if we say that we're in the people business, we have to hold ourselves accountable to calling it human capital, so that we can grow our people and see our people grow and prosper. Another phrase that we really like is mutual prosperity. It's no fun when one person wins and gets all the spoils. It's much more fun when we all win together. And
right.
The spirit of abundance, not the spirit of scarcity. Like, there's enough for all of us to win. And so if we teach our people and understand the business and the game that we're playing in this game of business, we can all understand, hey, if the company wins, our people should win, and our guests should win, and our neighbors should win. And that's how we give back in powerful ways. And so, and that means then we have to hold ourselves accountable to having career paths. Like, hey, you're not in a dead-end job. What's your journey? And so we changed, like in our industry, there was a very boring traditional title for someone who chooses one of the best career paths known to man is a career in sales. Like, sales is so important. to just the economy. And there should be, but our industry calls salespeople retail sales associates, RSA. And once you're a sales associate, you can never grow beyond a sales associate. You have that title, and if you choose a career in sales, 20 years later, 40 years later, when you get the golden watch, you retire as a retail sales associate. That made no sense to me. That made no sense. Like, how is the person who's been here for 9 years and the person who's been here for 9 hours, how do they have the same title? We can do better than that. So we did. So we said, okay, we're going to have career paths at retail. And so we said, home furnishings associate, home furnishings consultant, home furnishings professional, home furnishings expert. And then we just said, what would it look like? What's the graduated path? What's the different commission levels? What's the different bonus levels? And what does it mean? What's the recognition look like? There's so much power in the moment of a recognition that makes it memorable, and like everyone wants to get promoted. And so if you want to be the top of your game, let's give you something to strive to. Let's make it financially worth your while. Let's make it recognition worth your while. Let's make it a really powerful memory that sticks. And let's let you really unpack your God-given talents and abilities in a powerful way so that you can shoot for something in the marketplace and do good with that. And so we want to support you with that. So that's just maybe a little bit on identity, naming, human capital, career paths. And so just this power of connecting personal purpose. It's I think you've used this idea of an orchestra and making beautiful music together. And you've got a conductor, and everyone's got their talents and skills and abilities. And I just finished watching The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan special. And so I loved Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls growing up. But I love sports. But I love the power of a team. And when a team can come together and contribute their individual gifts for the good of the team, and the team can win. And so that's really what it's about. When you have an individual purpose and an individual gift, and you can put that into effect towards the team, and the team can have its organizational purpose, that's how they can kind of be united together. And I'm an honest.
That is so good. So good. Listen, we're past our time, but I don't care because you are on a roll. So we're going to take just another 5 more minutes here because that last 10 minutes was just so powerful. I'm so glad we're recording this. I mean, that was absolute. What you talked about with being a people company, Howard Schultz at Starbucks used to long time say, we're not a coffee company that serves people. We're a people company that serves coffee. And, you guys are not a furniture company that serves or sells to people. You're a people company that furnishes life's best memories. And I love how you unpacked that. And I've often said that, the greatest product that any organization or any company can make is its culture. Mm-hmm. And you guys have created such a great culture through all it is that you just unpacked here. The greatest question that we can ask our leaders as leaders is not how do we increase performance, it's who do we help our people become. Mm-hmm. And you've done such a great job of creating that path of saying, listen, you don't have to just stay here. You can go here and here and here and here and here. And we're going to help you along that entire piece there, right? Who can we help you become on your journey with Broad River Retail? That is so powerful. I have one last question that I want you to just take a couple minutes before we wrap up. And it's, you really did a great job of leading up to that year of purpose, unpacking that at your purpose summit and having, Zach and Nicholas and I love Zach. Zach's actually going to be on the show in about 10 days. So June 4th, I think is his day, which is awesome. But he's such a great guy. And what you said there about this sense of connecting to individual purpose and it not being a one-time thing and carrying it through. You guys have kind of this theme, right? Each year you have these themes. So last year was your year of purpose. This year it's united. And I'm sure 2020 didn't play out the way that you thought it was going to play out. It hasn't played out for any of us. Yeah. So talk to us about just briefly this theme of united for 2020. And how in the midst of getting the rug basically pulled out of your year where stores had to close, people are at home, they're feeling detached from their sense of purpose right now. Maybe they're not feeling united. Talk to us about kind of that theme for this year, where you're at, and how you're positioning yourself and your team to come out of this moment in time.
Okay. And I'm sorry if I got long-winded. I am going to, so I'm wearing my 2019 Broad River Memory Maker pullover, which is what our $1 million memory makers get on their way. But I also want to reveal, I'm also repping a purpose shirt, which is a One Word brand. So friends with One Word brand. So I got my purpose shirt I'm repping here. And so, yeah, it's awesome. So you've got yours as well. And so much about, so we do believe in annual themes, and we did have a year of purpose, and maybe we can come back and talk a little bit more about that. And I'd love to talk about like our Orange Crush tour and our Memory Maker tour that we did, and all that we had unpacking our year of purpose. And that was 2019. And maybe if I'm privileged to come back, and we can do a little bit about that. So then 2020, after having several years of annual themes, we said, well, how do we follow our year of purpose? And we were building a second campus to facilitate our growth. And we're on, and we really understood, like, we've got to make sure as we have the second campus, how do we keep our people together? And we really wanted to have this united approach and this united mindset. And we were off to a roaring start, having the best start in our company's history, the first 11 weeks of the year. And we didn't want the pandemic to happen. Nobody wanted it to happen. And we really struggled through just feeling not united, right? But I'll give you 2 examples of how we really took our purpose and some of the stuff that we had been reading, like Bob Chapman's book, Everybody Matters, is such a powerful book. And really Simon Sinek's book, The Infinite Game. And so all these things have really inspired us. And when we felt like we were disjointed and people had to go on furloughs, and we're trying to figure out what to do with our stores, and we just made a commitment, like we wanted to bring all of our people home. And we understood that there was going to be some financial pain, and we couldn't make all that pain go away. But we really had been on a mission to be reunited. And so we made a commitment that we did not want to have any layoffs. We wanted to avoid layoffs. Now, I would say that that was very purposeful by us. Some of my other folks in our industries were in much tougher states. You're in Michigan, which is where the coronavirus had much greater of an impact. New York, New Jersey, California, Washington, and some of these other hot spots. I'm in the Carolinas and Georgia, and it wasn't so we were not as financially impacted maybe as some of our other colleagues in the industry, or just people in business who've gone through a lot of hardship and pain, and people just dealing with the whole health scare and impact as well as the financial impact and all those things that happen. But we said, look, we're going to fight and be reunited. And so I can tell you today, here we are, it's May 21st that we're recording this, and we have not done any layoffs. And we've been able to bring and return all of our people now. Our states are starting to reopen. And so I'm really proud of that. Like some other folks, took an approach, hey, this is a great time to prune the tree or to cut the bottom 10%. And that didn't sit well with us. We're not going to leverage a pandemic or a crisis to trim the fat. We don't look at our people like that. We're just not going to do that. If someone's not doing a good job, we should manage them and coach them and show them tough love and make sure that they're like, that's our responsibility, not to prune the tree. And so that's just what we really fought hard to not have to go that path. And that hasn't been easy, but we've been able to do that. And then the other thing is, I was calling my old business partner, and we had set up a founder scholarship fund to provide continuing education for our employees' children or our memory makers' children, or for the people of Broad River, and who could apply as well, and to pay for their college and higher education. And what we wanted to do in this second year of the Founder Scholarship Fund was maybe divert some funds to help our people financially who would be most impacted. And really, when I called my former business partner, he said, absolutely, take whatever you need to take from that fund, and I'll match it up to a certain amount. And I won't tell you the amount, but it was super impactful, and he doesn't want me to declare the number. And so I'll honor that request. But we were able to financially quickly set up a Memory Makers Assistance Fund and send out checks ahead of like the federal stimulus relief checks. And this was before we even knew those checks were going to come, but to give our people checks through this fund to help them, in some way, shape, or form. So I'm really proud of that aspect of really activating our purpose to financially help our people through this fund that we had created and then given to them. That's just the heart of everyone who's benefited from our company and wanting to give back and help our people. And then just being able to bring our people home and say, look, we're going to save your job, and when we can, we're going to bring you back. And we've been able to, in phases and waves, bring our people back. And our whole mission was shared sacrifice for the short term in order for brighter tomorrows for all of us. And so we gave that message during a company-wide message on Friday the 13th of March, Friday, March 13th. That's when we began 24/7 crisis management mode. And so everyone has taken some element of a shared sacrifice in our company, some way, shape, or form. And our goal has been to limit that and mitigate that is to as short of a time period and as limited of a sacrifice as possible, and then to bring our people home and to restore full pay as quickly as we can. And we really see a path to doing that, and we're very close to that, being back to 100%. So, and that's just the power of our people. We have amazing people, Davin, who love the company, who love what they do, and who help us furnish life's best memories. And so, my purpose is really like, this is a responsibility. I don't look at it as something that I have to do, or that it's not like I haven't like arrived to this role. This is what I've been gifted to do. I have a responsibility to do. That's my mindset. And so that's just what I feel called to do right now in life. And then lastly, if you'll just give me just 2 words, I've had a podcast before, and if I don't give a shout out to my family or to my boys by name, I'll hear about it. So Drew and Luke, what's up? Daddy says hello.
Brother, that is awesome. I love your passion and your heart for people. There's really 5 P's that I think about when I think about business, and it's, purpose, people, process, performance, profit. And I've been following you for a couple of years now. And the only P that I ever hear you talk more about purpose is people. You are constantly talking about people. I've often said, choose to be the spotlight rather than to be in the spotlight. And you truly are a spotlight for your team, for your people. And I think that's why they love doing what they do. I think that's why your culture is contagious. And the fact that you chose to put people first in this pandemic, the fact that you said, listen, of everything that we're going to figure out what we're going to do, we need to figure out how to protect our people, how to keep them engaged, how to keep them united, and how to bring them back home. I love that you said that, how to bring them back home, that their work is their home. And, we often hear that term work-life balance. I don't like that term work-life balance. It's more about work-life integration, right? You can't really separate who you are from what you do when you truly understand what your purpose is. And you guys have done a great job of creating that work-life integration by helping people fulfill their purpose at Broad River Retail, because you constantly talk about people, you constantly put them first, and you're constantly putting their purpose before them. Man, thank you so much for championing what it means to not only find purpose at work, but to lead with purpose in work and in your life every day. And thank you for this epic t-shirt. I would have been remiss if I didn't wear it today. It was such a great surprise to see this show up and in our purpose point colors of blue and gray. It was just a great surprise. So thank you for the kind gift. Thank you for your generosity, for all that you've done to champion and ambassador this message of purpose. I just appreciate all that you do and all that you and your team continue to do.
Thank you so much for having me, Davin. It's an honor to get to do what we do. We love our people. We have amazing people. We love our memory makers, and And so we get to, we hope that we can in some way give back to, I mean, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. We have great partners and great people who we get to work with. And it's all about, understanding the entire ecosystem, right? We want our partners to thrive and do well. And that's really important to us as well. And the people who are connected to that. And we're good with our competitors thriving as well. They're going to make us better. And it's not a finite game; it's an infinite game. And so you're not going to hear that from everyone. But we do like to compete, and we like to we like the joy of it. We like to see our people do well, and we love, we're cognizant of the ripple effects that we can have as a business in this marketplace, and we're still early in this journey. Like we have so much to learn from some amazing thought leaders and what you guys are doing at Finding Purpose and with this LiveCast and through Purpose Point. And I'm excited to read your book when it comes out. And thank you for featuring us in the chapter on balcony people. And super excited to add that to the list of books that I've got here. And so thank you so much. And yeah, we are all united 2020. It's our year to go all in. And so we got so much stuff that we're proud of that we get to do around here. And so, but it's all about the people. It always is about the people. And that's what, that's what encourages us and gives us, that's where we draw our energy from.
That's awesome. You know what? And we are all in on purpose. And it was a pleasure to be able to feature you in the book. Thank you for the shout out for the book, Finding Purpose, which will be out later this year. And I can't wait for people to read your guys' story in What Good Looks Like and in Balcony People in the book, Finding Purpose. And we will have you back. We'll have you back because there's so much more I think that we could have unpacked today and we could talk about. And I think we'll, talk about partnerships and partners in purpose. We'll also talk about maybe even doing a workshop where you can actually help other organizations that say, oh my gosh, I love what Charlie talked about on the Finding Purpose LiveCast. And we need to integrate some of that into our organization, but we need the tangibles, we need the how, we need the starting points. So we'll continue that conversation. We'll definitely have you back, and we'll look at doing more things together to make a greater impact together. So for those of you who have been listening, you can follow Charlie on LinkedIn. He's on Facebook, Instagram. He is a champion of purpose in the workplace. And this is recorded, so we will also send this out to you and your team, Charlie, so that you guys can use this however you wish. So thank you again for your time. And I can't wait till we can continue this conversation.
Thank you, Davin. Appreciate it. It was great to spend some time with you.
Absolutely. All right. Now and always, live purposely, my friend.
You too. Thank you.